welcome to the Abnormal, Strange, and Weird podcast, a show dedicated to all such things and everything in between. Now sit back and relax and join us as we talk about weird shit.
How do you do today? How do you do? How does everybody do? I like what I said last week. Join us in our strange little world. I have to figure out a way to do that in a speech every week. You could always start the show, too. We got to get you to start the show once or twice.
Oh, man, I was dreading you saying that.
Well, anyways, I'm Patrick Dyer. This is Amanda Geezy. This is the Abnormal, Strange, and Weird podcast. Go to ASWcast.com for all our content, and you can contact us through that website as well. Last week, what did we talk about? We talked about sunken cities, and a name came up, Edgar Cayce. I kept calling him Edward Cayce. And
I called him Edgar Cayce.
It's funny because I've heard his name a million times, and I kept calling him Edward anyways. I was pretty tired. That's what I'm going to blame it. I was so tired. Mm-hmm. But anyways, we kind of talked about Uri Geller a ways back, and he's a psychic. But from everything I've read, well, he's still alive, Uri Geller. Edgar Cayce's had insane amount of predictions. He's an American clairvoyant or psychic or whatever you want to call it.
And they called him the sleeping prophet.
The sleeping prophet. One of the descriptions I read was pretty funny. They're like, usually when you go into the shrink's office, you lay down on the couch. But this time Edgar was doing it. Mm-hmm. Well, and so he, over his career, I guess he did like 14,000 readings. And you can gain access to it. I guess it's called like the Edgar Cayce Project. But you got to subscribe. I ain't subscribing to shit. Mm-mm. Look how tough I am.
I was just saying, it's like comparable to Netflix, the cost of this thing.
But so, yeah, I mean, just like any other psychic or even Nostradamus, there's all kinds of stuff that doesn't line up or hasn't happened yet, but there was enough of interesting stuff that I thought we'd take some note to it.
Mm-hmm. I'm compelled. I wanted to dig in more and find more of his predictions, but I kept running into like scholars who have studied his stuff, and they kind of drone on. But last night I did one of his guided meditations.
Who, Edgar Cayce's? Mm-hmm. Oh, interesting. I didn't realize there was one. Did somebody on YouTube do it, or?
Yeah, and it was interesting. It was like hard to sit through because it was like the recording. It was old and kind of. There was a lot of treble. Not him. It was somebody else. It was some narrator, but it was old. And but I sat through it. I was committed to it, and it was beautiful. And I think a lot of what his message was to people, like his clients, was you have access to this stuff too. Mm-hmm. And then he taught them how to meditate because he'd put himself in a trance and then gain access to this a perpendicular dimension where he had access to all this information.
Well, yeah, I was reading, I've heard you bring it up, the collective consciousness. He believed the world has one, and we can all communicate one way or another throughout all of that. Mm-hmm. And not only that, but there's information in there, too, from our past or future. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I keep hearing this more and more. I'm starting to buy into it a little more and more, this collective consciousness.
Yeah, well, quantum mechanics talks about it. And that if there is the ability to travel back in time or even to remember in hindsight, you have the ability to remember forward as well. I wonder where I got that. I'll have to find it.
You made it yourself.
I didn't. It was given to me. It was gifted.
Well, so yeah, I mean, I wonder if I'm sure somebody has. There's a lot of crazies out there that's gone through every one of his predictions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he not all of them have come true, but most have.
Well, it's like, I don't know. I mean, some of them you can look at with any clairvoyant or psychic that they're so good at doing a broad prediction that, of course, it's going to come true.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But when specifics are brought in, it gets a little more,
Spooky.
Yeah. Like the one that got me going was that your favorite subject, Atlantis, with the Bimini Road. That's when I, from last week's show, that's when I decided to look into it.
Mm-hmm.
And so his actual words were, the city of Atlantis will be found near Bimini. It will be discovered that there are healing powers in the waters off Bimini, and quartz crystals will be recognized for their healing properties to uplift, empower, and synchronize many types of energy such as light and electricity.
Yes.
So that sounds like you all over the place.
For sure. And I was talking about how I use crystals in my dog's meditation, or my dog's healing with my meditation.
So is there supposedly a lot of quartz in that area too?
I wonder.
Yeah.
And he referred to the technology that they used in Atlantis being, first of all, far superior, but they made crystal lasers. And that's apparently what Edgar Cayce predicted, what he assumes that's what destroyed the landmass.
Sure.
And he first declared that it was broken apart into 3 islands. It was like Poseides. Okay. I didn't write them down either, but I was like, I'll remember these.
I always do that, and it never works. Never works.
But he said that the downfall, and this kind of surprised me, of Atlantis was greed and lust. So he also predicted the death of 2 presidents. And in one of those predictions, he said, quote, unless there is more give and take and consideration for those who produce with better division of excess profits from labor, there must be greater turmoil in the land. Yup.
Yeah, we're getting there, aren't we?
Well, and you know, the murmur around the JFK assassination was that it was his pops and their goons trying to shut down unions and keep their handle on the labor force of America. So
that's one. Who's going to be the next, huh?
No, FDR was the other one. He died in office, and there was like mob rule for a minute. Like they lost control of something.
Was that before he? Okay.
It was before
he died in
FDR
45.
and then JFK.
Gotcha. So he predicted FDR first? Interesting.
Yeah, and he was making these predictions in the 20s and 30s. And like, let's mention too, his wife would write down what he was saying when he would sleep. Because he would talk in his sleep as well as when he was in these trances.
Well, yeah, and he would answer, stuff about spirituality, the future, his predictions. And another thing I thought was quite interesting is throughout all this, he was still a devout Christian. I thought that was quite interesting because you don't typically hear that from, not that I'm a psychic expert, but typically their flock does not agree with any of that and would not want that in their church. So I wonder, he probably got a lot of shit.
I wonder. Yeah, because I've been called out for my tarot readings. Tarot cards are abomination.
Just from religious folks.
Yeah. Like, because on occasion I use quotes from the Bible, or from passages that were excluded from the Bible, which are my favorites.
Sure.
But it's weird. Like, I've been witchy most of my life. I'm wobbling my camera. And I feel like you can't dabble in magic or in broadening your own consciousness in a intentful and deliberate way without dialing into that Christ consciousness that kind of changes people.
Well, I wonder what came first. I didn't read much of his early stuff. Was he doing this all his life, or was he something he came across as he went along? I wonder. So he might have been So he might have been Mr. Christian beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he seemed to be like legit Christian
Mm-hmm.
in that like he was more focused on Christ's teachings instead of like the church.
Well, not, and I kind of liked that because, you know, he was still trying to get the collective consciousness. It wasn't pushing, well, I don't know if he was pushing his religion, but it seemed like he was more enthralled with the whole mass, the whole spirituality, or there was a good one. Here, you'll like this one. It said Cayce envisioned a time would come when individuals would realize their responsibility towards each other. This realization would change the mass thought of humanity,
Yes.
collective consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
He cited that three major archaeological discoveries of very ancient nature would usher in the understanding of human origin. This would occur when humanity reaches its higher level of spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that. I think we're on our way.
So, yeah, I mean, even 100 years ago, pushing 100 years ago, he was, I mean, that's what Stephen Greer's always talking about. If we can just all kind of get on the same page, not even mentally, just spiritually or whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
it'll make our collective selves just better all the way around.
Oh yeah, and that ascension is, I think that's what we're walking through right now. And I think that's kind of the significance of walking through something like COVID
Mm-hmm.
or the Spanish flu, which came around the same time as the Great Depression, which Edgar,
He was
I
part
mean, I'll
of
be respectful, Edgar Cayce
it. You call him all
predicted.
Edgar.
His
Edgar.
Edgar seat. Sugar for my trunk.
That's
Sorry.
one of his predictions as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was that one?
The stock market crashes. Well, the crash and then the Great Depression. And he said that the crash would trigger the Great Depression. And he said it would alleviate in 1933, and it did. He taught his clients how to prepare for such a crash, and they ignored him and lost everything. So they paid attention.
Yeah, after that, huh?
For sure.
Wow. I also read that he predicted World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And
The rise in, yeah.
well, and it was mainly going to involve Germany, Japan, and the United States, which I thought was a spot on. But you said he predicted the rise of Hitler, huh?
Yep.
Did he call him by
And
name or just kind of?
he described the situation pretty
Gotcha.
clearly.
Of just an individual rising
The
up.
rise to imperialism, yeah. And then after that, he predicted that the Jews would return to Israel, and I guess Israel became Israel again when he said it would.
Well, it makes me think two ways about this whole thing, because just like you said, they didn't take heed and ended up losing everything. But then what if you followed every one of his words and it didn't follow out? Or any psychic, you know what I mean? So I wonder if there's, I mean, I can see the skepticism back then.
But even when they come with like math backing their predictions, like The Big Short displayed.
Sure.
That dude was like, this is why, here's how. And everybody was like, you're full of shit.
No,
And
totally.
then he was rolling in all the dough.
Well, I just mean like Hitler, you know? Like if you're like, hey, this guy's going to go crazy, but I don't know exactly the logistics. And you can't really prepare for that, no matter with warning, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's got to be frustrating if you're the person giving out that information as well. Because, you know, you're trying to help, but it doesn't necessarily can stop anything. Or even if you're trying to stop anything, you're just kind of, I don't know.
It's almost like those moments are just meant to validate like his abilities.
Sure. I wonder if he was the big guy at the bar. Told you so. Fucking told you so. Just pissing everybody off.
Probably.
Well,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
one of the archaeological things he said that would be found, which I thought was also pretty cool. He said that A city of gold will be discovered in the Gobi Desert. It will have a temple with elevators, electric cars, and magical elements.
Amazing. Oh, yeah.
Could you imagine if we found a place with fucking electric cars?
Didn't I say that the last time, though? Like they found, well, I don't know if they were electric, but they ran on water. Water drives electricity, though. Like, why would that be so far-fetched? Those chariots that were water-powered.
Sure. I don't remember you talking about that.
I brought it up. It was just like a blip, and I couldn't remember where it came from or which underground or underwater city it was or which ruins it was found in.
Well,
or this
elevators
technology.
or old-ass technology, but that'd be nuts to find just an electric car. Fuck. That'd probably be one of those 3 discoveries that would just blow our minds.
And what if they've been discovered and haven't been like leaked to the public yet? You know what I mean?
No, that's possible. There's a lot of hidden stuff, I'm sure.
So, and he also predicted the U.S.-Russian alliance that didn't come true until 1991. So there's like a lot of things that were hanging that he had talked about that people were like, oh, that's nonsense. But then pow, like.
And
then
Nostradamus predict something like that too?
I don't know. I meant to look into him while looking into this, but there was so much.
There's an insane amount of info on him. I remember. Do you remember when all that happened? When the wall came down, and it was pretty intense.
I did a book report in school on it.
I didn't really understand what was going on, but I certainly remember it quite well, and it seemed like I needed to remember it. You know what I mean? It was pretty insane. And then that wall around freaking Germany.
Yeah.
It's fucking. It's
insane.
And it was during our lifetime. Try to explain that to, like, my niece.
Right.
Like today, I'm just, she's on her fucking phone. I went over there for dinner, and I'm like, hey, could you help take out the trash? Go fuck yourself. And we're sitting here, just, witnessing history, stuff they would never even be able to, Yeah.
My friend was telling me today, and this is like current events, but she said she was sitting there and then she like saw the news that Bill Cosby was released from prison. She's like, oh my God, they're letting Bill Cosby out of jail. And her daughter was like, who's Bill Cosby?
Even with all the recent news and stuff? Wow.
Yep. Oh,
That's
she's
great.
like, I don't know which to be more upset about here. I'm like, I feel you.
That's an interesting one. Those lawyers were working overtime, weren't they?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
From what I was reading, the opposite side, the prosecuting lawyers fucked up pretty bad. So with the way they presented evidence, and that's how they were able to find loopholes.
Technicalities.
They should know better, right?
Yeah.
You would think.
That's their only job. Is to the prosecution, especially.
Yeah, pretty much. Make it stick.
That's their main job.
Yep.
Shucks.
Yep. Well, I already was reading about 1,000 conspiracies about it online. I'm like, nah, I think they just fucked up. It happens. In this case, I think that's all that really happened.
What kind of conspiracies?
Just that the court system was more worried about doing social justice rather than proving the case. So they just wanted to get him in jail because it would be a good headline.
Drag.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that those 50 or so women didn't think that.
Right. And I heard him singing about it. There was this song about the Spanish fly drug that him and Charlie Rose, like he started singing it. Charlie Rose chimed in. I forget the song, but I remember the tune. I remember them singing it together.
Yep. There was a whole bit on one of his records about using Spanish fly. I don't know the bit, so I won't quote it.
Yeah.
You think Edgar Cayce predicted Cosby?
No way.
Yep.
He did predict his own death.
Really? Fuck that. Who needs that information?
Man, oh man, can you imagine? And like, how see the thing that I find envious is that he's able to trust this information, or I guess the way it came out too, like he was either in a trance or sleeping. So essentially he's just reading back what his stenographer like took down, whether it was his wife or his secretary. There was another dude who, those were the three main people who documented what he said.
I wonder if they considered hiding that information. Do you know what the specifics were of that?
Of his death?
The prediction of his death? Or did he just kind of get the time frame, or
he nailed like when it would happen. I think I didn't even look into how he died or what have you. But a lot of his teaching and a lot of what he said to different clients focused around medical care, your pineal gland meditation, and then future
taking
predictions.
care of yourself. So, yeah.
Yeah. He
said, if you were in that position, say it was just you and your husband, and he told you all the details of his own death, what would you do with that information? Would you hide it? That would be a heavy weight on you.
I don't know if it would be.
No?
No, I'd celebrate in the knowing, I'd wonder, I'd probably be skeptical until it happened. And then I'd be like, well, what a gift that I knew to live as if it were true,
So you would take it as more of, let's live this fully.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good way to take it. I would have fucking put that under the rug and be like, nothing happened. That you weren't speaking too good that time, so let's not write that one down.
Right. He said, keep the pineal gland operating and you will never grow old. You will always be young.
Through meditation, or is that what he was suggesting?
I'd hate to like pull out tinfoil hat stuff, but fluoride accumulates in the pineal gland. Specifically,
It's a hard one to get away from, though. Yeah, at least in the United States.
We all have fluoridated water and toothpaste, and it just bums me out too.
How did they prove that? I've always wondered that, because I always hear people talking about it.
It's neuroscience.
They've actually cut them open and found fluoride, or what?
Yeah,
calcified pineal glands. Yeah.
A fluorite is a stone. It's beautiful, but you can't put it in water because it's toxic. Sodium fluoride is put in rat poison. It's crazy. It's crazy because and I've tried to talk to dentists about it. They're just tired of having the conversation, I think, or they just don't want to have it.
Yeah.
So,
do they have
who do you go to?
Do they have some other proof about it, or they won't even go down that road?
Yeah, there's shit all over the place. But you can find...
I mean the dentist. So when you go to the dentist and you bring that up, what's their response usually?
I've talked to several, and I've gotten a lot of eye rolls.
That's it? No back and forth?
Or it helps your dentin on your teeth. He's like, I don't know what else to tell you. The latest one. And I don't know if it's specifically for the sake of mind control, but it sure keeps people out of the space that gland provides. I mean, it is an optic nerve in the center of your brain meant to translate light.
I wonder if there's any way to test. Well, obviously can't do it, but if there's a way to look into some sort of thing that you're able to do without fluoride, then after they started putting it into the water and stuff, and see if people are still able to do that.
And my biggest thing with fluoride is it's a medication. You use it to treat symptoms. I mean, it causes dental fluorosis as well, which is the salt and pepper holes in your teeth.
What fluoride does?
Excessive use of it does. But for Christ's sakes, if you're putting it in people's water, you aren't following through. You take a Hippocratic oath in order to ensure the best care for your clients or patients, and they're not monitoring people that they're dosing.
Well, I don't think it's them putting it in the water, right? It's the water companies.
It's fluoride companies, I think.
Yeah.
Or the Department of Health, or.
There's got to be a way to test, I don't know how you would do it right now because it's so everywhere. Like if you had twins or something and you put one with fluoride and one without. But then you can't control them having the same life and, experiences. So that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Fluoride comes in some water. There's fluoridated water you're supposed to get for babies and stuff.
Well, I had the fluoride treatments on my teeth when I was a kid.
Yeah. And when I had them too, and when I did them, they'd like paint them on my teeth. They'd tell me to swish and spit. And then I'd have fluoride treatments at school where they tell you to take a shot and spit.
Oh, really?
With my kids, excuse me, with my kids, they just had it done. And I finally acquiesced and like, go ahead, because my Hank has to get 10 fillings under sedation. My goodness.
Well, I remember it was like a almost where they would put it in this tray and you had to leave it on your teeth.
For
and
real?
It was horrible tasting.
They just painted it on him and they like just drink water. So he swallowed everything that they painted on.
So that's a new way to do it? Or that's how you did it too?
No. Well, yeah, they just painted it on for me too.
No, I remember it was a horrible, and they were like, you want a flavor? And I was like, whatever. And then I picked some fruit flavor. And it was like the most bitter, and I could still remember the feeling and the taste. It was so gross. Yeah, I got nice teeth though. I've had like 3 cavities my whole life. I don't know if it's because of that or genetics.
Could be genetics. See, and I had some kids also have like no dentin on the back molars that come in, like the freshies. I think that's what's going on with Hank. And I had that shit too. And I recently had a whole bunch of the metal scraped out of my teeth that had been repaired.
Oh, like
80s, 90s dental work. It was horrific stuff. And like mercury and other toxic metals, they have to wear like heavy duty gloves to put in your mouth.
Wow. I don't know if I've ever had that shit.
I
had one cavity. I was like
3.
I was like 12, and it's still there in perfect shape. And I told that dentist to go fuck herself because she kept telling me to quit smoking. I should have stuck with her. Because my other one I had later in life, they had to repair that motherfucker. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not discounting any of that stuff. I'm always curious because I hear people say it, but I've never heard any evidence behind the fluoride actually doing it, or I've seen any evidence, but I haven't looked into it either.
I looked into it for a while once I had kids.
You've actually seen calcified glands?
Yeah, I've seen like body world type pictures, and like preserved brains.
Can't attribute it to any other things?
I think they test it and realize it's the fluoride. I mean,
because I know our bodies are filled with, it's like a pharmacy, because who knows what can happen when something's whacked out. So I wonder if certain people are more, when it's introduced to their system, are a little more prone to it or not. So hopefully not everybody's getting fucked up, right?
Well, I mean,
the human body's pretty amazing.
This is true.
Yeah.
It evolves and adapts for sure.
So hopefully not fucking everybody up. But who knows? I'll go down that road with you. I'll look more into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to say this too. So he said that Edgar Cayce said sound will be the medicine of the future. And that one stuck with me because I've been championing binaural beats and isochronic tones to help people heal their brains.
Yeah. Makes sense. I mean, we've talked about the different hertz and all that stuff. I mean, look what music does to people.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Closest thing we can get to conscious time travel.
And, sound can be used negatively, too. We've talked about that. It can even be used to, like, clean stuff. I saw a new dishwasher that works off of sound waves.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just breaking shit apart.
Yeah.
They can get tumors with, like, sound, like, what do they call it when they sound direct, or like it's directing?
Well, the military also, have you seen those sound lasers where they can pinpoint it, like 300 yards away? Just to one individual person, which is fucking nuts.
Yeah. And there's billboards. Whoa, when I was in New York, so this was a while back, they had billboards that would aim sound down to you and it'd be like somebody's whispering in your ear. And then you like look up and over and it's this billboard of like a
Oh,
scary
wow.
chick looking at you.
I was going to say, that always trickles down our lovely military to other things. Because I've heard there were some speakers they're working on for concerts where you could be standing right in front of it, getting the full effect, and walk over 2 feet and it's silent.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine what that would do?
Mm.
You could have indoor venues that would be a positive one. You can go all damn night long and wouldn't bother the neighbors. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Except for the people directly behind the.
Right in the way of it.
Right.
No, that's pretty cool. He also said that a new field of science will be developed based on psychic and spiritual phenomena. A shift in focus and study will occur. The world will give more weight to spiritual phenomena and less to material phenomena. This new field of spiritual science will become just as practical and measurable as any other human experience. That'd be a cool one to be around for.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what was a main focus in Atlantis. And it was shocking to kind of hear him say that it was greed and lust that took them down.
Well,
I thought
I
they were
actually
pretty
forgot you brought
superior.
that up. It's been pretty prevalent in the fall of a lot of things, so wouldn't doubt it one bit.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the Romans, the Greek.
You were fucking me up earlier. You kept saying phenomena. And I'm like, dee, 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 dee. You said it like 3 more times.
You should have sang it right when I was doing it.
Oh, I was
You
gonna.
should have got in
I
there.
just giggled through it.
I read something else about it. He seemed pretty obsessed with Atlantis. So there must have been something going on there.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that that it's supposed to rise once again when what did it say? He said that there's some records that Atlantis have, and that those that are spiritual initiates in the knowledge of one God, a secret chamber will be found.
Wow.
Yeah. So maybe that was his Christianity. Like, hey, if you fucking listen to fucking God, I'll open this chamber. But I thought that was pretty cool because he also talked about the chambers under the Sphinx.
Huh.
And that there was a hall of knowledge under there, a library. And he's talking about something similar in Atlantis.
Wow. Because I immediately went metaphysical because I had that meditation where I saw the Sacred Heart, and I felt like I was thrust into a chamber of knowledge, and it looked like this big atrium spiraling up with people and books and information and clouds and angelic robes and bullshit. You know what I mean?
Sure. Well, no,
I'm like,
it
whoa,
actually
did I
sounds
access
more
that
about.
chamber?
Yeah, that's kind of sounds more what that is.
And it was a little bit Christy. You know what I mean? Like,
So maybe. Man, I really hope there's some more libraries out there. I think about that often when we talk about older cities and, Egypt, because the Great Library of Alexandria, or Alexander, was it Alexandria?
yeah.
Jesus Christ. But how that one got demolished. Imagine just the knowledge from then. And so if this one under the Sphinx is true, that'd be pretty fucking badass. And I know they've done some ground penetrating radar and they've seen some weird chambers all over the place in Egypt. But then you get into bureaucracy and they don't want certain people digging in certain spots, and I just don't see the big deal. Have you seen that one they found in the Great Pyramid? That's supposed to be the size of the Empire State Building, and they haven't gotten into it yet.
No.
Yeah, it's supposed to be, the Great Chamber. Have you ever seen those where it goes up at an angle?
Yeah.
They did some sort of sonar or radar, and they were able to find a whole nother chamber on top of it that goes horizontal to the whole, like 200 feet.
Wow.
It's supposed to be huge, and they can't figure out how to get into it.
Oh my goodness. Without
Ima-
like destroying stuff.
Yeah. Or
Wow.
they think there might be an entrance somewhere, but,
Yeah.
it's so old at this point.
Yeah, the
Imagine what's in
internal,
there.
just looking at the internal, like the common knowledge maps of the innards of it, the Great Pyramid. It's
Hmm.
like tube and another tube and like a room and like, you know what I mean? Like, stop it.
Yeah.
That thing is massive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
We
exactly.
don't know shit.
Well, and it makes you think, we've talked about lost knowledge and stuff, that, maybe these people are hinting to things that we're just ignoring.
Mm.
And maybe they shouldn't all be ignored or be a skeptical thing,
What probably one of my favorite Edgar Cayce quotes is the more knowledge, the more responsibility, the more love, the more ability, which is another one of those like Christ like parables where he's like, you won't find me in a church. Act with love, you will be acting on my behalf,
I like that one.
essentially paraphrasing.
I like that one. Say it again.
And the more knowledge, the more responsibility. And here we are in the age of technological knowledge being at everybody's fingertips, Um, whoa, did I finish that quote? You asked me
No,
for it. The more love, the more ability.
I like it.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. The more stuff we understand, the more technology we have, definitely can create more issues. Can solve a lot of issues as well. But, yeah, I mean, with some of the things we have these days, we can take out our world pretty fucking quickly. So, yeah, you're no joke
And
there.
according to him, Atlantis did. And I figured I was more buying that it was some kind of either tectonic or asteroid type event, comet, perhaps, that changed the shape of our planet and sunk a pretty major piece of land. But I mean, it makes sense too that they might have did something to blow it up.
Themselves. You were saying that he suggested it was some sort of laser or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crystal lasers.
See, quartz and bimini. So maybe it kind of all was related.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be mind-blowing to find some of this old technology, if it's really out there.
Yeah. I mean, it's out there, I feel like. And we're just like crawling back out of the primordial soup that we laid ourselves in, probably over and over again.
Well, and like you said,
Did
it's
you?
probably a lot of it's hidden. I mean,
They
a lot
just
of
found
governments
this new
don't want that
skull.
shit out there. Oh, yeah. I was going to bring that up. Where was it? Israel? Where was it?
I don't know. It was in some kind of tomb, and they're like, this adds a whole nother like
Branch.
bracket to our
Yeah.
genealogy as humans.
They said it was, yeah, we were talking about that. It's related to somewhere near, I forgot what it was because we were making fun of the brow.
The Neanderthal.
Yeah, the Neanderthal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I like to say is Neanderthal to piss people off. Have you ever heard scientists say that? Neanderthal. They don't
Nope.
pronounce the H or they make it a tall. You've never heard that? Oh, I love to do that to annoy people. So if you're ever talking about it, say it without smiling and watch what happens. When you're
Do you
talking
get
to your
corrected?
friends, they either pause or give you a look or they'll try to correct you. Do it. It's fun. Yeah. Well, no, and through breeding or just brutalizing and killing species, imagine the knowledge that we've lost that way too.
Right.
Because, we all didn't think the same. It was different perspectives on all those different levels. So, they could have been really good at building or, making tools that we couldn't even,
Fathom.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like they use their minds to shape stone.
Well, yeah, and we're finding out more and more branches to the family tree that all the time. Well, have you ever seen, what's the one, is it Lucy? Is that what they called the original chick?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one always used to blow my mind.
So they have like a little replica of her at the Museum of Nature and Science in Denver, which I was just there today, and I made my boys walk through the Stonehenge exhibit with me.
Nice.
They were not interested. So I had to kind of cruise through it, but I was just looking at like the original Stonehenge, and it's like those rocks are at the center of this massive
Oh yeah, didn't they
structure.
find like a whole nother couple? They think
Oh
it's like
my.
a mile long. What's going on out there?
An ambulance at my neighbor's house. No lights though.
Weird.
Huh.
Hopefully it's nothing.
I won't be too distracted about it.
I haven't been there in a long time. I'd love to go. I haven't been there in a while. Do they have a lot of new exhibits?
Yeah, they redid the space area.
Ooh,
My kids like it.
nice.
And they took out a lot of the like hands-on interactive stuff, but
Oh,
there's a lot more
I guess that
projection
makes
mapping
sense.
and
Yeah. We used to.
but you can drive the Mars rover,
Ooh.
and there's some fun stuff happening with their projection mapping and yeah. Oh, and you can steer with little air bursts. These like little docking simulators.
Oh.
It's all right. It's pretty cool to go play.
Have you ever read anything about how they do that? How just this, because you're in the vacuum. I mean, you were there, so you probably did. But if you just make the smallest mistake, you're off course by like insane amounts.
Oh yeah.
I would hate to have that job.
Yeah, precision. I'd sneeze and like be gone.
Totally. Spacewalking, that terrifies me. I'm sure it's a amazing feeling once you get out there. Could you imagine?
Ugh. Like your tummy.
Yeah.
I mean, it does flips when you go weightless in a plane for a minute, but if you like sustain that and then you just go out into the void.
I've never thought about that. You probably do get that little feeling, huh? Like all the time.
The whole time.
Wow. I wonder if you get used to it. You probably have to, clearly.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And they had twins one twin go up and they measured him against his twin before he went up and after, and he like grew. He didn't age as much.
Mm-hmm.
Like he spent like a year and a half on the space station or something, and then came back and.
Yeah, I remember. Were they U.S. astronauts or were they Russian? I can't remember.
I don't know. I think they might have been Russian.
Well, no,
I don't know.
Rereading some of that Cosmos book I was reading, and he was talking about our position in the Milky Way, and how we're probably towards the end of these arms, and that's why stars are so far and few between. He said once you get closer to the insides of the Milky Way, closer to the center, stars are only like a light year apart from each other. And so worlds probably have 2 or 3 stars that are really close and probably never get dark. And
you wonder if planets can exist in that kind of a atmosphere.
Yeah.
Because the gravity of stars, you get that close. I wonder.
Yeah.
They're just ripped apart and it gets kind of chaotic or something.
Well, I'm sure there's some. They say our fucking suns, our stars, miniature compared to so many out there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
the tiniest.
I don't know why I brought that up. I just thought of it when we were talking about space. But they actually just discovered a new white dwarf. Did you read about this? Like within the last few days. Well, at least they released it the last few days. It's the smallest size and the heaviest density that they've recorded yet.
Wow.
So I wonder if it's on the verge of going Mr. Black Hole or whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Supernova stuff.
Scary.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So I've been looking at this. I wanted to bring it up because I was like, oh, really? Russia, but he predicted the fall of the Soviet Union. But he also said, and later, out of Russia comes the hope of the world, and that it will take a while for this to crystallize. But this is where the awakening of humans to the concept that we must live for each other, which is insane that we have to like drive that home. Kind of, we don't have tooth and claw or brute strength. The only reason we are where we are in the food chain is because we work together. You know, but as opposed to like ants and their behavior, we are definitely doing shit work on the planet. So, and like when I read that about Russia, his prediction about that being where the birthplace of hope for our planet, like they fucked with our election. What else are they going to do? And this was post like Cold War predictions, because he predicted that as well.
Sure.
And then the U.S. Russian alliance in 91.
Well, maybe they have something brewing after their little leadership going on right now. I'm sure they're tired of it just as much as we are. And Putin doesn't seem to leave willingly.
Right.
Yeah. So who knows? Well, you got me thinking, like, with the, you know, I mean, we clearly do work together in many ways, or else we would totally fall apart, but that seems to be lost in many ways along the way. So if we just work together a little bit more, I mean, you brought up the pandemic. If people just work together a little bit more, if there wasn't these false, you know, lines dividing us, then we could have probably figured this out pretty quickly. You know what I mean?
But I mean, those powers that be want to keep the labor force like under their thumb. And that was one of the things, that was one of the first quotes I read of his. I want to read it again. Unless there is more give and take and consideration of those who produce with better division of excess profits from labor, there must be greater turmoil in the land. And we are seeing that. Sure. And then COVID highlighted that those people that we would shit on, you don't want a job like that, kiddo, with the grocery store workers, they all of a sudden became essential to human survival. They should be paid as such.
Totally.
Same with anybody in the service industry, whether you're working at a nursing home or at a bar or restaurant, like if you serve people.
No, it's true.
And
power shift, a little bit of a power shift. Well, it's, I don't know. It's crazy how quickly that happened too.
I love it. I love that I sat back and watched that, and I could kind of tell that we were going to head into the direction where these people aren't going to want to get off unemployment because they finally have their fucking needs met, and they're not getting screamed at or, you know, pushed to work extreme overtime and, you know, there's so much.
Told their job is lesser than some idiot in a high rise somewhere.
Right.
We get that a lot just because of that neighborhood we're in. Rich folks looking down on us. It's pretty disgusting, but I don't take it. It's pretty satisfying.
I was kind of proud of my mom. She's a landowner. She's got quite a bit of land in Texas. Deals in big dollars, money management, blah, blah, blah. And she mingles with people of similar backgrounds. But she also, like, she was a busser and a, like, not like a bar back, because it was for a cafe, a restaurant. She was like cleaning up and seating people. And I was like, thank God, I'd been praying for my mom to get into that somehow, into the service industry somehow.
She was recently doing this?
Yes. Oh, wow. In her, like, in the last year, it was because of COVID, like they couldn't hire people. She's going there every day. She's like, I think they had an event or something, and she like stepped in and
that's cool.
Was a hit, and she kept doing it. And I'm like, yes. But she said immediately she started people with their nose down at her. I'm like, yeah, Ma, take it in the face. Every time you've been shitty to a waitress or a waiter or some, you know what I mean? Like,
totally.
take it in the face.
Yeah.
I love that though. And I was so proud of her for doing it and that she liked it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I knew you'd be great in the service industry.
Well, and a lot of people really would be. It's kind of the straight up human connection right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people need to get out of it when they lose that, when it starts becoming an act. Like, all right, filter out, go find your find another niche. I've been doing it for 20 years. I kind of went out, but I still enjoy it. I enjoy the like the reason to go and approach people and talk to them, or have them approach me, and not having to start with small talk. Like there's already a process we're going through that breaks the ice.
Well, totally. It changed me as a person. I was always super reserved, and I still am if I don't know you, but I know how to get conversations going and to take charge of it too. You know what I mean? It's a good tool, definitely. Yeah. There was one prick in particular during the pandemic. You know, a lot of people people don't think I fucking forget. They think I forget this kind of shit. He was on our Twitter giving us shit because, you know, a lot of places were giving a COVID fee to help pay for masks, and this fucking, he was a day trader. I still remember this motherfucker, and whenever we close, I'm going after this motherfucker. I don't want the heat right now. But looking down on us, I'm a day trader, and if I do well, then I give my wait person $500, but I would never impose something. I predict that you're going to close down because of your $2, and just going on and on and on and on. And I was like, oh, just wait, buddy, because fuck you.
But restaurants had to provide then to-go cups and disposable utensils.
Everything.
Printed out menus because people didn't, if they touched it, they wanted to keep it. It's all had to be single use, ramekins, lids.
At a loss of like 80% of your business, too.
Right.
You had to figure this shit out.
Right.
But no, I'm Mr. Big Time. Oh, boy.
Just because it got printed on your receipt.
I also have saved all the bad reviews of people that were just unreasonable. And I'm getting drunk one night after we close. And I'm going right after all these people because they won't have any consequences. I don't give a fuck.
Yes, I can't wait.
You can help me. We'll do it together.
That was fun to be in studio the other day.
Oh, yeah. Well, whenever you have time, we can do this one in studio, too.
Cool.
You'll probably have a little more regular schedule coming up, too, huh?
So once my kids get back in school. Well,
and you don't have the uncertainty of schedules with your counterpart as well, right? So that'll be cool.
Counterpart.
Yep.
Don't get it twisted.
Yeah. I didn't know how to say it without you.
Yeah.
I was trying to be mysterious.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's I'm gonna read like two more.
Sure.
Quotes that I wrote that like got me, because one, each soul is entering the material experience. Oh, wait, each soul in entering the material experience does so for the purpose of advancement towards that awareness of being fully conscious of the oneness with the creative forces. I love that. And I feel like that's where we're on our way. Like people figuring out about manifestation and his life's work. He's like, see, look what I can predict. Look at what I can say to you that speaks to you and your experience, to all his clients. You said 1,400 readings or something.
14,000.
1,000.
Yeah.
What am I thinking? And his main message, I think it resonates through all of it, is you can have access to this stuff too if you keep your body healthy and your mind right and your emotions in check. Meditation is key because you need a shift in perspective or that altered consciousness in order to access that divine or that collective conscious that sits within, a breath away from us. No. And even the Egyptians. So he had a lot of, he also predicted that Atlantis had like a lot of people migrated to Egypt from Atlantis before the fall, and but they have this depiction of, for instance, Ra has the circle headdress. They always show him sideways. And it's, a lot of people say it's the sun, but it's also the divine mother. Inside that is the womb. And more often than not, you'll see depictions of hieroglyphs in that headdress, or that circle symbol on top of the head of Ra, with upside down hieroglyphs, because that is where, and that's what I thought of too when you spoke about the chamber that he said people would find and have access to, that chamber of divine consciousness,
Filled with
and
knowledge.
it being in the upside down position, you know.
Yeah, I like that one.
And it's almost like that's how some of these messages could have gotten muddied too, because you have to translate.
Totally. Yeah, that's why, I mean, it's not like, hey, this day, this is going to happen. This is the names, you know. There's a little bit of poetry to it. Yeah.
And when I was looking for, because I wanted to see if I could pull up some stuff on other American psychics, and I kept getting like Hollywood mediums and these people that come on TV. And
yeah, I kept getting a list, the hottest psychics to watch in 2021. I'm like, yeah, I'm not reading that.
I can't.
No,
I can't. I mean, I dabble. I'll go and I'll look and I watch them give people readings, but then I realize like some of these people were staffers, like they, you know, easily access the information they're sharing.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't buy it if it's on TV.
I don't either. I mean, just with the age of the internet or just investigation, you can figure shit out about just about anybody, you know.
Yeah.
You said you had one more good one you liked.
The forces of light on earth shall overcome the force of darkness. Complete spiritual enlightenment on earth will occur. I think that's dope.
I think that's really dope.
It's going to be rad. Oh, and life, God, in its essence, is vibration. And so,
it's something we talk about often on here, yeah.
Right, that's quantum physics.
Yeah. We're all vibrating together out there.
And the act of observing is what turns those vibrations into solid matter or particles.
Yeah. I like it.
Fantastic.
Let me hear that last one again.
So life dash God dash in its essence is vibration.
Oh no, the one before that. I like
that
one.
Okay, forces of life on earth shall overcome the force of darkness. Complete spiritual enlightenment on earth will occur. Or did you want the one before that?
No, that was the one. I
Okay.
think that's actually a good place to let that one sink in.
Yeah.
I think that's a good one. I think we should end on that one.
Check them out.
Yeah, seriously.
So
I mean,
oh wait,
even if you
I
are not into it or not. Yeah. Oh,
I want to say thank you so much. I got a gift in the mail. I love that. Snail mail. Let me open this. That came with this beautiful tarot deck, and I've been using it for my
your Green Heart Tarot 333
readings. Yeah. So I wanted to say thank you so much, T.
It's awesome.
It was very sweet.
That really is.
Appreciate your love and support. It's unyielding and so moving and powerful. Thank you so much.
It really is. It makes this fun.
Yeah.
More fun than it is already.
Patrick wants something too.
Yeah,
so wait, I
something.
pointed the wrong way. There you are.
There I am. You got it. Well, thank you guys for joining us another week. This was episode 11. Go to aswcast.com for all our content. Check Amanda out at Green Heart Tarot 333. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good one.